Welcome to another video from Lockdown Electronics with me, Bill, and this time we're going to take a look at, build and hopefully test this kit that I've got from Banggood. It cost me £7.71 UK price, that's just under $10 with current exchange rates, and it's a power supply that works directly off the mains. And it appears, according to the circuit diagram, although there's no mention of this in the description, it also appears to contain a logic analyzer, so we'll see what that's like too. And it comes with what I'm going to call a European style 2-pin mains lead, and the only modification I'm going to make is I'm going to replace that with UK plug, obviously 3-core, and I'm going to connect the earth to the ground connection on the transformer, just to keep things safe. So let's go to the bench and have a look what's in the kit. Okay, I've got my soldering iron warming up, so let's have a look at the contents of the pack. And very pleased to say it comes with a printed page of instructions, which isn't always the case with kits from Banggood. In this case it does come with some reasonably good instructions, includes a bill of material, bit of help with how to solder, etc., and some general instructions. There's also a circuit diagram. I'll put a link in the description anyway to this. So we've got, if I can get it out, quite a comprehensive kit really. Let's just tip everything out and then make some sense. That's the 2-core mains lead. I'm going to replace that with a 3-core. That's the mains transformer. You get about, I think it's about 250 milliamps of current it'll produce when it's finished, according to the instructions. So that's perfectly adequate for a small bench power supply. Nice little double-sided board, nicely screen printed, nice and clear. It's actually got the values marked on it. That's the LED display, nuts and bolts there, and then you've got the bag of components here, and along with a bit of connecting wire. So I'm going to put the transformer, connecting wire, nuts and bolts, etc. To one side, because I'm going to first of all start by populating the board. And before I even start to populate the board, I'm going to give this a wipe over with some IPA to make sure it's as clean as possible. If you're familiar with soldering, I'm teaching you to suck eggs and you don't need to know this. If you are a little bit unsure of soldering, in my experience, getting the thing clean, properly clean, is such an enormous help when you're soldering things. This does look pretty clean, but I don't know what process it's been through since it was drilled, etc. So I'm going to give it a wipe over anyway. But it looks quite a reasonable circuit board. So I'm going to be installing the components, and as usual with something like this, always a good idea to start with the smallest components first. When I say the smallest, I mean the ones that are nearest to the circuit board. So that's going to include things like resistors and the smaller capacitors, ceramics, etc. Things like that. Now they're fairly easy to identify. There is a bit of a guide in here for you, but that clearly says 104 on it, which is fine. The resistors, I don't always find it terribly easy to read the colours against a blue background, so I always check my resistors using a meter. I do it anyway, even if I can see the colours. It takes so little time, and it's just hopefully saves a lot of aggravation later. So that's the plan. I'm going to make a start, and I'll come back when I've got some components on the board to show you. Okay, that's 6 resistors in place, and the 2 small ceramic disc capacitors in place. Next thing I'm going to do is the diodes, as their next sort of largest component up. They have a band on them here, and it's very clearly marked on the board where those bands are. So I'll put those diodes on and then see what's the next biggest component. Okay, that's the 6 diodes in place for there. That's the bridge rectifier on the input side and 2 here. And I think probably the next largest thing now is the socket for the IC, so I'm going to put that on next, and then we'll see what the next size up kind of thing is. Okay, so integrated circuit socket then goes here, and it's important to make sure the notch, which is clearly marked on the circuit board, but also is there's a notch in the socket itself, make sure that's the right way. And then what I always do is always start by soldering one pin at either end and making sure the socket really is level with the board, and now I can go ahead and solder the rest. Okay, I've now done obviously completed soldering the integrated circuit socket. This trimmer pot was about the next highest, and either side of it were these 2 connector blocks, so I've done all those together, and I think what's going to come next is some of the electrolytic capacitors. Okay, there's 4 LEDs to soldering along here. It does say on the board what the colours are, and there's a little flat there on the symbol. There's also a positive at the top, but on an LED the cathode is marked by a little flat, which is probably very hard to see, but the cathode is also the shortest lead. That's probably the easiest way to identify it, and they just pop in flush against the board like that. Okay, I've also, while I was working in the area of the LEDs, I've also now put this potentiometer on, fitted the buzzer over here, and I've also fitted this transistor here, which is Q1, and there's going to be a heatsink here with the voltage regulator sitting there like that, so that's going to be quite difficult to work in there. So I've put the transistor in, and hopefully you can make out I've not put that flush to the board. There's no need, and that means that when I soldered, hopefully I was trying to keep as much heat stress as possible away from the actual transistor. That was really not on there very long with the iron. It would probably have been okay, but in this application no need for the transistor to be right next to the board. Okay, so I've attached the voltage regulator to the heatsink. It's the heatsink itself is actually threaded metric 3. I've just put a little star washer on there to make sure I've got a good contact area. It's probably unnecessary, but I'd got one, so I've done it. And the easiest way to put this on would appear to be just line up the 3 legs and then get the 2 attachments for the heatsink in place like so, and I can carry on and solder these now. Okay, probably the fiddliest bit of the entire kit so far has been this little display that you need to solder on 3 wires. It is marked very clearly here on section 12 of the instructions, and I've just used 3 offcuts from component legs and just held them with a pair of tweezers, and they soldered on fairly easily. So now I'm going to fit that into place on the board. Okay, next thing we need to attach is the transformer. It's going to sit there, so I've just had a look, and the secondary leads, which are blue, again it is clear about that in the document, are a lot longer than need to be, so I've shortened them and I'm just tinned them, so I'm going to solder those on, and then I'll be in a position to give the circuit board a clean to get rid of the flux. Okay, that's transformer attached, and I've also given the circuit board a brush down. In fact, there's just a little bit of residue just left there, yeah. With 100% isopropyl alcohol, just to get rid of the flux. The flux is a real help in soldering, but it is by its very nature a little bit corrosive, so it's good to get that off the board once you've finished. So next thing to do is get this mounted, and then look at making some connections for the mains. Okay, so I've finished populating the board. I've screwed it in with the 4 self-tapping screws. That's the circuit board. I've attached the transformer, and I've shortened the secondary leads as I've already described. Now, I wasn't happy with a 2-core mains lead, so what I've actually done here, because there are 2 3mm bolts there, which are actually on the outside, which is attached to the body of the transformer. So hopefully you can see I've got a 5 amp UK 3-core mains lead here. The earth there is securely attached to the metal part of the transformer, and it's arranged such that there's a cable tie very tightly secured there, which effectively stops the cable pulling out. I've also shortened the primary leads a little bit, just to tidy them up, and there is some heat shrink in the kit so that the join between the live and the neutral has been insulated with heat shrink. And this is probably a very good point in the video to say that obviously this is mains voltage. I cannot possibly recommend that you work with mains voltage. There's obviously a risk there, and if you did choose to do that, it's entirely at your own risk. I'm very happy with that, and there is a 5 amp fuse in this UK plug with the shielded pins. So next thing to do is put the IC in, and then tentatively switch the power on and see what happens. Okay, there's one last check I want to make, so I'm just going to put the KM601 onto, whoops, went too far, apologies. I'm going to put it onto continuity, and what I want to do is just touch the earth pin on the mains lead and make sure this really is earthed. Yeah, all good, so that earth pin is definitely attached. Right, we'll go back to auto, and moment of truth, we'll plug in. There's no exposed mains leads, they're all covered up, so I'm going to plug in now, and I had turned that down as low as it would go, and it's saying 1.2. so let's just check what voltage we've got going into the board on the AC, and we've got about 15 volts there at 50 Hertz, so that's good, and that's saying we should have 1.2 volts coming out, so I'll just move around to there, pop that on, and that's saying 1.2. So let's just increase that a little bit up to about, it's quite finely balanced on the display, about 3.09, so it's saying 3.14. yeah. Let's go up to 5 volts. Yeah, that's agreeing too. And let's go up to 9 volts. I suppose I should be pleased the kit worked first time. Not quite sure what all these LEDs mean, but hey, the voltage agrees with the voltage. And I'm going to keep on going up to, going to go up to 12.7. that's a common voltage. Yeah, 12.68 is pretty close. And let's go right to the top and see what it will do at the top. That's saying 14.2, something like that. Yeah, about 14 volts. So yeah, there we go. That's a nice variable output power supply. Now, according to the board, that's marked logic pen, that's marked input, and that's marked buzzer input. I will check those later, but what I was really building here was a power supply, and it clearly does work. I suppose I should be pleased it worked first time, but that's a nice little kit. Obviously couldn't possibly recommend it because it involves working with mains voltage, but I took a chance. Okay, that's the completed kit. Getting these 4 nuts and bolts into position was probably the hardest piece of the kit by quite a long way. So that's nicely in there and working okay, and as you can see, the cable tie I've got there to secure the mains lead, there's absolutely no danger of that pulling out, so I'm happy with that from a safety point of view. I've had a quick check with just a little jumper wire here to see what some of these connections do. It says buzzer in for this one, So I've got about 5.5 volts set on the supply. If I connect positive to the buzzer in, we should get a buzzer, and indeed we do. And there's one here that says signal output, and looking at the circuit diagram, that would appear to be the pulses. And so if I get that to trigger the yeah, and that's a pulsed output depending on the, and it's got adjustable voltage too. So that's pretty good. This says logic pen, so I'm guessing that will show up the logic signal high and low, but I'm less concerned about that because I've got a logic probe anyway. So nice little job. Very pleased with that for the money, and that's going to form a handy little power supply. It does also come with some positive and negative mark lead here, and a pair of insulated alligator clips, which you can attach there to put your supply in. I don't know whether I'm going to do that or not yet. One option would be to put a couple of banana plug sockets here. There certainly is plenty of room to attach that there, and then I could just do the conventional banana plug connections as I normally do, although there is an appeal to using the two alligator clips, it has to be said. So there we go. Nice little project, nice one, Banggood. Just under £8 UK, or $10ish. Really don't think you can go wrong there. Okay, well that's the power supply kit completed. Since I showed it you last on the bench, I did decide to replace the screw connections with some banana plug sockets, which I've done there. I've insulated a couple of wires and taken the wires and soldered them directly to the board in place of the screw terminals. I offset them slightly so there was no danger of the rear of the banana plug connectors fouling on the components on the board, and there is actually plenty of room. So that's a nice little solution, and I think the instructions for that kit are really very good too. So pleased with that for less than £8 UK pounds. So I hope you've found that useful. You saw me there using Kaiweets multimeter. If you're in the market for one, have a look at the link which is in the description, and if you use the code LE10, which is also in the description, that'll get you some discount and also helps the channel. So if you're thinking of doing that, that'd be great. If you've already done that, thank you very much indeed. Please click the thumbs up, please subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.